Where am I? Who am I?
Hard Rock.
And I was like, wow, I feel just as bad as I did earlier, and now I'm just later.
Hard Rock.
But honestly, on a scale of like less coherent to more coherent,
Hard Rock.
What I need is any intelligence whatsoever.
Hard Rock.
Running ideas by the crew here, and by crew I mean just me.
Hard Rock.
What's the temperature outside? I'm like, it's 32 degrees. He's like, what's the human body temperature? I'm like, well, currently it's 32 degrees.
Hard Rock.
It was so much funnier in my head.
Hard Rock.
And nobody likes the Irish. I'm kidding. Irish are fine. Okay. Those Italians, Jesus Christ.
Hard Rock.
Besides, most southern states are controlled by Republican governors who clearly aren't doing a very good job anyway.
Hard Rock.
Everybody gets a free slice of pizza because once you run out of pizza, it's really hard to give everybody a free slice of pizza.
Hard Rock.
I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize on behalf of everybody here at the Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Hard Rock Lunchbox and, of course, the Top 20. With any luck at all, we are indeed transmitting today. Yes, it looks like we are indeed transmitting. I feel like that alone is its own victory. So, good night, everybody, and we'll just call it a day from there. No, seriously, we don't need to do that. We are here the very last day of November of 2023, which, honestly, if you had asked me 10 years ago if I thought we'd get to, I probably would have said no. It is November 30th, 2023. It's finally come up from the 20s, the 20-degree mark outside, which I think is a huge get for everybody. Man. I am so tired. I know I feel like I start most shows with that, but man, I really am. I was in that thing this morning where my alarm went off, and I was like, I'm just going to not do this, and I set another alarm to go off a little bit later. And I don't generally do that because so I guess so people that wake up with alarms may or may not even know this. I don't know, but there are actual natural rhythms to your sleepy and wakey times and stuff like that, and your body knows how to wake up. If you try and wake up, any parent knows this. If you wake up, so it's like this, right? Like it's kind of a wave. So if your body wants to wake up here at the top of this wave, like your most wake time, not woke, that's something else. Your most wake time right here is when your body is like ready to wake up. Like those are the mornings when you wake up and you wake up like you're in one of those commercials, like you just slept really well because either your diarrhea went away or you got a new mattress or your period's over or whatever. You know the commercials I'm talking about? It's usually like some 30-something woman who just wakes up with a smile on her face and a white sheet. That's right here. The other one that looks like why didn't you take NyQuil? That's when you wake up like down here. And when you wake up down here, your body is flooded with sleep chemicals. And it takes a little bit for your body to get rid of those. And so when you wake up here, this is the 2 a.m. feeding when you wake up out of a dead sleep to feed a child. That, and when you're just like, you walk into the hallway and it's like, why? I can't do anything. Where am I? Who am I? That kind of thing, when you're in that sort of place. So generally speaking, when I wake up, I don't usually wake up to my alarms. I have them so I get up for work because I'm a functioning member of society, unlike any member of Congress. But I have them, but I generally wake up before my alarms. And the reason that is because I've learned how to kind of just ride this wave, right? So as a general rule, if I wake up at all within 25 minutes or so of my alarm, I'll just get up, even if it's too early, which sucks because I'm often underslept because of it. But today I was like, I was woke up here to my alarm, and I'm like, I'm gonna try and go back to sleep and maybe come up to about here. And I think I did that, but not all the way. I mean, I got like maybe a little bit better because I set it to get up a little bit later, and I woke up and I was like, wow, I feel just as bad as I did earlier, and now I'm just later. So I've been fighting El Grago, as the Spanish refer to it. That's probably not true, and probably racially insensitive. So I'm sorry. I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize on behalf of everybody here at the Hard Rock Lunchbox for our cultural insensitivities. So I've just been fighting the grogs all day and just trying to shake it off like spiderwebs and stuff. So I apologize if this is less coherent than normal, but honestly, on a scale of less coherent to more coherent, I don't know that anybody would know the difference here, and I think that's fair. As I said, it's been super cold out past couple days. It looks like it's going to be a little bit warmer today, which is nice. I mean, I don't know if anybody really wants the weather forecast, but we're looking about 45 degrees here in northern Suffolk County on Long Island. And that's better than the 31 degrees it's been the past couple days. And it was funny, I've been waiting to walk a little bit later in the day to give the sun a chance to actually do its thing. So I went out. I went for a walk on Tuesday? Monday? Tuesday. Something. Today's Thursday, so yesterday I did that. I'm going to say it was Tuesday. Super cold. And I went out and I walked to the park, or through the park that's over by my house, and I was very cold. I had not dressed appropriately. Much like my mother told me many moons ago, I did not dress appropriately for the weather. I did have layers on, though. I have invested in, and this is funny if you can picture it, I've invested in sweat pants, a sweat outfit, not complete Sopranos leisure wear, I'm not in a tracksuit, but okay. Does anybody want my evolution of sweatpants? Actually, no. You know what we should do first? Let's just do some housekeeping really quick. Last week was the Boxgiving 2023 special. I thought it went off without a hitch, except for the part where I wasn't transmitting for most of it. But I feel like everybody got the gist of it. I've decided that I'm going to kind of rework how things are on that list. I just haven't decided the algorithm I'm going to use. If everybody else can use algorithms to screw everybody else over, I might as well use them too. I could use AI. But as I said in band practice the other night, I'm not worried about artificial intelligence because that's going to be a step up from what I've gotten there. What I need is any intelligence whatsoever. That's the AI I'm looking for at rehearsal. But so I'm going to come up with an algorithm to kind of make things make more sense. I remember, as I was thinking this, I remember thinking, I've thought this thought before. When you have deja vu, in a place, I've been here before. This was thought deja vu. And I was I have definitely thought this before. So I think, and you guys can weigh in on the chat if you want. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start weighting the plays by year. To come up with a number. I think that's probably a good idea. And maybe something I played 11, 12 years ago and haven't played since will get less of a weight. I don't know, like a point of it. So let's just say, for argument's sake, just for mathematics and for ease of mathematics. So let's say I played something in, how long have I been doing it? 10 years? It's 2023. So say in 2013, let's just say I give every play a 1 for everything that it does and add, 0.13 to it and kind of add them up that way. So anything gets played more recently would be more. I mean, it's kind of lame on the for all time thing, but I'm also struggling with, having really super old songs in the countdown, but I actually don't mind having super old songs in bands. I mean, it's kind of upsetting, in the sense that some of these bands aren't even together, and that's not really a problem per se because that doesn't super much matter. I mean, we can play old bands. I mean, we play old bands all the time. This is what happens when I'm very groggy and I'm just sort of thinking out loud and running ideas by the crew here, and by crew I mean just me. But yeah, so maybe I'll do something like that. I really haven't decided, but it might make for a better show. So maybe next year I'll just kind of do that. I don't have to worry about that with Song of the Year, which is coming up at, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be January 4th will be the the 2023 songs of the box. So that'll be your best song of the year. I really have no idea what it's going to be this year. Not a clue. My guess, if I had to guess, would probably be like maybe in the Pathmaker camp, but I'm not sure. Just because I play a lot of one of their songs. So it's something like that, but we'll work that out. So anyway, so that was that. I didn't check the schedule last week, which is why I wasn't broadcasting. I don't even understand how that goes. It was nothing but organized chaos. If you want to check out the full interview of Bacon is My podcast, I did a full interview with our very own Annie Stoic, who is currently on tour still with TSO. She's out on the West Coast, but she did a remote in with Beef. That's going to be that's already out, so check that out. Discussions and Drinks from yesterday is the psychology of recording vocals. I'm going to give that a listen as soon as I get a moment. I want to see what they have to say on that, because that is something I do. It's something I'm actually going in to do again very soon, like within the next 2 weeks on a project that I'm working in. So I kind of, if they have any tips, I might as well figure out what they have. So anyway, so it was cold. That's what I was going to say. I went out walking. I walked to the park, which is about a 4-minute walk from my house. And by the time I got to the middle of the park, it started snowing on me. There was a big black cloud, no racism implied. There was a big cloud above me, and it just started dumping snow. And I was like, I am so underdressed for this. But I will say, I did grab a scarf, which is very unlike me. I never used to wear scarves because as trying to be cool person as a younger person, I thought scarves were not cool. And maybe they are and maybe they're not. But I will tell you, once I started singing, scarves were like, yeah, man, mandatory. I mean, I'm not talking like Scott Weiland, like frou-frou scarves or like, pulling scarves out of a hat. I'm talking about like an actual wool scarf to keep your neck warm. I don't honestly know the logic of it. I just know that like it's a good idea to do that. There's something about me not having tonsils that like makes a good idea to keep my neck warm. I don't know the details behind that either. I'm probably just making that up because I should start posting like my degree up here, like, because it's not a doctor, but I do have a degree. Anyway, it's not medicine. But anyway, so I was very grateful because I kept walking and I decided to walk out to the dog run, the West Hills Park dog run, which is it's like a 30-minute walk from my house. So it's a nice walk through a quiet neighborhood. But I was so grateful for the scarf because not only was I not wearing it around my neck anymore, I actually had wrapped it around my face like I was on Tatooine in Star Wars, and it was actually like my nose was definitely like freezing cold, and I was like, and freezing is applicable because it was below 32 degrees, aka freezing. And it was just super cold. But it was funny because I decided to walk back because I have to go up like Sleepy Hollow Road, which is like there's no shoulder at all. So like you're constantly watching cars and like basically diving into the woods to not get hit by them. Because you know how cool drivers are when they're not on their phones like they're supposed to be. So I decided to walk back through the woods, and I realized that all the leaves had fallen down, and I couldn't really see the path anymore. I could kind of make out the road, and I was like, this is so the wrong day to be lost in the woods when I'm freezing cold, and basically all I've got is a scarf to save my life. And I was like, this is how it's going to end. But then I realized I had my phone on me, so like at least the government knew where I was. And it's not because of the COVID vaccine. Like, that's not it. I carry my own chip with me voluntarily and willingly, just like most Americans. Except my daughter, of course, when I'm trying to reach her for something important. Then that phone is nowhere to be found. But that's neither here nor there. So it was cold. I was going to say something about that, but I do dig walking. I do like walking in the cold. My chiropractor actually yelled at me yesterday for being out in the cold. He's like, it's too cold. And I'm like, no, it's not. He's like, what's the temperature outside? I'm like, it's 32 degrees. He's like, what's the human body temperature? I'm like, well, currently it's 32 degrees because I was just outside. No, that's only true of like cold-blooded animals, like lizards and turtles, of which I am not. So, I wanted to tell this story about Tony, and Tony listens sometimes, so I feel like he'll appreciate this. But it was just, I don't necessarily know how band personas form. I mean, the four of us in Revel 9 really just are the four of us in Revel 9, like, for better or for worse. Like, we are the way we are, but, like, there's just characteristics of each one of us that are just kind of caricatures of ourselves. And for whatever reason, whenever, like, especially when Nadal says something, Tony just always, like, accuses him of being gay. Which, I'm not here to shame, like, he might be gay. I have no idea. I don't know what he does all day. I really don't. But it's just a constant battle between those two of, like, oh, constantly with the gay, like, whatever. And, but Tony was talking about his man cave the other day, and we just started laughing. Because, like, honestly, like, I know lots of people have man caves and they're super proud of them, but, like, I can't think of, and I'm using gay in the most non-sexual Tom Segura way, that I possibly can. But it's just, to have a man cave just sounds so silly. Like, it just does. And then it immediately went from there into going sexually gay, like, accusing Tony of being gay. And we asked, like, how many men he had in his man cave, because we figured he misunderstood what the concept of a man cave is, and that's where he keeps his men. And we decided that Tony actually misspoke. He doesn't have a man cave. He has a man cage where he keeps men in for sex. And I don't think that's true. I've been to Tony's house. I mean, I've never been all around. Like, I haven't looked all around, because I don't think Margot would allow that. But, each his own. Like, I mean, hopefully they're all willing, consensual adults. It was so much funnier in my head the other day. I just can't figure out, like, I can't figure out how to convey how funny that is when you're not hearing it in the context of, like, hey man, let's rehearse as you run real fast. Like, it's just a whole other animal. Just a whole other animal. So I don't know, but that's Revel 9 news for right now. It's just, I don't even know what else to do with it. But yeah, that's Revel 9 news. The other thing, so it's funny. I rarely am on social media anymore. I've really just kind of tried to just not be. I'm just happier for it. I'm just calmer and, like, doesn't take up time and stuff. Like, I still like my Instagram feeds and stuff because it doesn't really activate anything, but, like, sometimes it does. And I really just try and, like, avoid all that, so it's just easier to just avoid all that. But for some reason, I don't know, like, I feel like I have had an uptick on posting stuff on Facebook, and it feels like a compulsion more. It's like I'm trying to just not do the politics anymore, but I just can't help it. Like, sometimes it just is just so... It's like a knee-jerk reaction. Like, if I'm not thinking about it, I'll just do it. And I had actually posted the other day or yesterday or whatever, saying that AOC really says the dumbest stuff sometimes. And, I believe that to be true. I've seen her say really dumb stuff. And, she's a congressman. She's not... Or congressperson. She's not, like, a Nobel laureate for, science or whatever. She's not a genius. She's just, a working class. I think she does a lot of good stuff for the people, for her constituents. I mean, seriously, if you want to compare AOC with George Santos, I mean, like, come on, she's really the real deal. But it doesn't mean she doesn't say stupid stuff sometimes. And it's not that she's the only congressperson that does. I mean, the Mike Johnson thing that really just blew me away recently when he was talking about why he's got such an anti-abortion stance. He was like, well, you talk about the economy and stuff and think about, like, how many jobs and workers we can infuse into that economy to do these jobs if we just outlaw abortion. Like, that's his thing. Like, he actually said that. It's like, let's ban abortion so we have more people to work in this country. Not to mention, he's from Louisiana, just a state over from the biggest immigration crisis this country has seen since the Irish came here. I mean, and nobody likes the Irish. I'm kidding. Irish are fine. Okay. Those Italians, Jesus Christ, right? So if you're really wanting to infuse people in the workforce, maybe not, take over a woman's right to choose and just, like, have some migrants come in, fill out some paperwork, and they can go work at Walmart, which has been my take the entire time. And it's also my take in New York City, which is actually what my beef with AOC was. Right? So they're talking about this migrant crisis in New York City, and that's kind of what it is. And we really shouldn't be allowing migrants just to come in. Like, most people that are in New York City, statistically, or at least the last thing I had heard on NPR, I think, or maybe it was 1010 Wins, most of the migrants that are here that come up from Texas are single adult males, or not necessarily single. They're solo. They're alone. They're not with their family. Adult males, and they're here looking for work. Right? That's what a migrant technically is. Those are people that migrate across borders, and they do it like in state, but when it's international, they migrate over for work. Right? It's not uncommon. Like birds migrate, butterflies migrate, that kind of thing. They migrate where work is. Right? So these are migrants that are looking for work. That is not an asylum. That is not an acceptable asylum reason in this country. Now, again, I don't make immigration policy, not yet, but I don't currently make it. So, like, asylum is really like when you need to seek asylum. You need to seek a safe place to exist, not because you can't find work, not because all that stuff, but like because you're politically persecuted is a big one. Civil war is a big one. Like you'll see a lot of asylum seekers, like when things went south in Ukraine, right? Like we got a lot of that when, like in Rwanda during that stuff, during Yugoslavia, like when Yugoslavia was falling apart, like there was a lot of asylum seekers trying to get away. Like that's going on, like in Syria, Iraq, there were a lot of refugees and stuff. Like those were asylum seekers, and they were like, you know, you have like Christian minorities in a Muslim country. You see that a lot too. And in Central America, you see a lot of the gang stuff and the cartel stuff. Like people are like in danger for their lives, or their families in danger for their lives. That is grounds for an application for asylum. It's not necessarily because, dude, I can't find a job. That's a whole other thing, and I feel like could be very easily handled. I've said it 12,000+ times. Like, if that's really the issue, then I think Big Agro, which is the biggest employer of migrant workers, but Big Agro, Walmart, and Amazon should just go down and have like a college fair level sort of thing in McAllen, Texas, and just be like, we're having a job fair, basically. So just like come here, fill out this paperwork, we'll get you a temporary visa, you go to work for us in Arizona, Montana, Louisiana, whatever. But at least they have some sort of sponsorship. That would end the migrant thing, or deal with the migrant thing. And then we can get back to the dealing with asylum seekers, because asylum seekers, like I said, is really a whole other thing. Like, I appreciate that people, if economic hardship is a bitch, like it really is, but I grew up super poor too, so like I understand that it's just not always about somebody else solving your problems. But when you are in danger for your life, when you fear for your physical safety, then asylum is appropriate. And we should have nothing but asylums, like real asylum seekers here in New York City. And honestly, we shouldn't even have them. Like, they're crossing the southern borders. The fact that Texas is shipping them up here, I still consider to be human trafficking. But again, that's not on me. But New York City has consistently said we are being overrun and we do not have the resources to pay for these things. And despite the fact that they're using it much like everybody used, like inflation as a boogeyman, they're using the migrant crisis as a boogeyman. Like, New York City does not have the tax base to pay for everything it's trying to pay for, right? That's anybody that lives on a budget knows how that works. So what they're doing is they're trying to scapegoat the migrant crisis and saying we have too many migrants, so we have to cut the school budget by 30%. It's a bullshit thing, but it's not completely bullshit, because part of it is actually true. If we had some of that $1 billion back, we could fund some of these other things. But so what AOC was doing was she was critiquing the Adams administration and saying that, you know, this is ridiculous. You know, get your house in order. You should be able to do these things. These budget cuts are bullshit. Now, what the problem is that it might not be the only thing, but a big chunk of the squeeze on New York City right now are all the migrants that are here. You know, the projections for what it's going to cost and the resources in manpower of people trying to do these jobs to get them all, you know, squared away is a tremendous amount of time and resources and money. And what AOC needs to be doing as a member of Congress is comprehensive immigration reform, or at least some sort of decompression strategies for the city. The city has asked for help constantly. Adams has gone to court to try and pause or stay or repeal the right to shelter law. The right to shelter law is a wonderful thing in New York City, but if it's being overrun, it's being overrun. You can't just say, like, okay, everybody gets a free slice of pizza, because once you run out of pizza, it's really hard to give everybody a free slice of pizza. And that's what's happening. right? And you got people like the ACLU, which I'm a card-carrying member, that are suing the Adams administration because it's the wrong thing to do, but like to cancel the right to shelter law. But again, you just don't have any place to put people. Like, I don't understand why people don't understand that. We don't have the means to support this. What would you like us to do? And like, I feel that before somebody like AOC or any member of Congress critiques anything that's going on in New York City, they should at least attempt to do their job that's in their purview. New York City has zero control over the southern border. I don't know what you know about maps, but New York is like way up here. Actually, this is reverse. New York is way over here, and the southern border is like way down here. New York, southern border. We have zero say in what goes on down there. Besides, most southern states are controlled by Republican governors who clearly aren't doing a very good job anyway. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having that problem. The only thing they did right was actually send them to San Francisco and New York City to make it a national issue, because now people like me are actually giving shit. And I'll give them credit where credit is due. That was a good marketing move. So they've accomplished that, but they've accomplished very little else. But still, they're sending migrants to the most expensive places in the states to kind of acclimate. Like, I think this would be better in the Badlands of Texas, where it costs, I don't know, $1 to feed a family for a month, as opposed to $1 per minute to house a migrant in New York City hotels. And I feel like Congress really should do something about that. And before they start critiquing the budgets of the big cities that are struggling and asking for help, they need to get their own house in order first. And that was my comment. And that's all I said about her saying something, AOC saying something stupid. And the point of that, now it's getting too late, but the point of that is the amount of shit I caught from the left was just bananas. And it wasn't even accurate. Like, the stuff I was getting thrown at, the stuff that was getting thrown at me, wasn't even accurate. It wasn't anything that I said. It's just the left just trying to get their point across, saying what they want to say and justifying what they're thinking. It's the exact same shit that the right pulls, and it's so annoying when it's on either side. But, like, people are always like, left versus right, left versus right. Fucking knock it off. Stop it. There's way more of us in the center than there are left and right. It just seems like the extreme left and right are the loudest and dumbest people that we can possibly put up, because they don't have the wherewithal to just shut up about stuff or just have some sort of common sense. If you're arguing with me because your team is being offended, then go watch football, because you know what I give a shit less about? I don't give a shit. I could not give it less of a shit about the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Islanders and the Rangers and the Mets and the Yankees. I just don't care. It doesn't affect my life at all. The only time I'll really step in is like the women's national soccer team against basically anybody on earth, because at least that's exciting, and there's also a chance that we'll win, and that's cool. But all these other things, like, stop picking a team. Stop picking a political team. That's not how politics and discourse work. If you are that person and you are on a team and fighting for that team, regardless of what's being said, you are the problem. Left, right, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's easy enough to just take an issue and take a person and decide whether or not what they're doing or what that policy is doing is right or wrong. You can have an ideological argument all day long. It should not matter what party they're from. Have the argument, have the discussion, but stop picking a side first. That is the problem here, and if you're doing that, you're the problem, and we really just don't need you to keep doing it. And I personally would appreciate it if you stop. I've talked way too long, speaking of things that people would appreciate if they stopped. So I will end that. I'll end the top 20 now. We'll get on with Hard Rock Lunchbox. I'll try and wake up a little bit because I'm still obviously not paying attention at all. And here's some music. I'm thinking, some Paramore.